and see if anyone else is going to show up. Cool. I'm so happy you guys are here. So this is a pretty interesting training because for me, I feel like I can speak really well on like the hard skills, like how to write better, how to do whatever, like strategize better. And then when it comes to like, I would say this like soft skills, very like esoteric, like how to overcome mental blocks and like what do you do when you're blocking wealth from your life and how do you like actually get yourself to believe in yourself. So I'm really excited to tackle this though. And I think the assignment that I gave y'all, I think I sent it out on Tuesday. It just kind of like goes through a couple different sections and I just kind of want to follow that framework as we like move through things. Chelsea, if you didn't see the assignment, it should be under the assignments channel. Really the only thing that I wanted people to fill out was the part about, there's like a list of things that fill you up creatively. That was like one of the exercises and then mantras for wealth and self-belief, but we'll go over all of that today. So I did want to start with the obvious, but like I'm not a mindset expert. I'm like not a mindset coach. I'm not a life coach. I don't have certifications or training of any sort. I have a journalism background, and I think that's like really unique because it allows me to ask like really interesting questions. And I also know a thing or two about like going after what I want in life. I'm literally sitting in this RV as a freelancer, as a business owner, all of the things that I wanted. And so I thought it would be really interesting to kind of combine those two and give you this training. So following the format of that assignment that I gave you, I do want to talk about imposter syndrome first. This is something that comes up so much. Yeah, I have a lot to say about imposter syndrome, so I'll try to keep this relatively short, but this could be an entire training on its own. But the biggest thing I think when it comes to overcoming mental blocks and like building up this belief in yourself is the understanding that most people, I want to say all, but like I'm sure there's like some weird people out there that don't experience this, but like everybody experiences imposter syndrome. I think there was even like a New York Times article about Sheryl Sandberg, which is she's like the CEO of Google or Facebook or something like that. So she's really high up, really successful. She's in her like 50s or 60s. So you would think that she has like the age, the experience, the like success that she wouldn't have imposter syndrome, but she does. And to give you an idea about what exactly imposter syndrome is, because I think there's a lot of different definitions, basically it applies to the fact that both male and female achievers who are psychologically uncomfortable with acknowledging their role in their success. And then the discomfort is often rooted in pressures from self or others to achieve a lot of success. So it's a lot of like, whatever. What does that even mean? Basically, it's like the feeling of not, even like when you succeed, it feels like you don't deserve the success, or that like if you do deserve the success, that it's like so uncomfortable because you're like, maybe it was luck, you know, like other people are more skilled than me. It's like not being able to accept the fact that you achieved something really great. And I do kind of want to go over, there's like 5 things that I found this really awesome article that talked about like the experience of imposter syndrome. So there's 5 things that you experience. So I want you guys to kind of count on your fingers how many of these things apply to you. The first one is, do you agonize over even the smallest mistakes or flaws in your work? Do you attribute your success to luck or outside factors? Are you very sensitive to just like constructive criticism? Do you feel like you will inevitably be found out as a phony? It's like the biggest one. And then, do you downplay your own expertise, even in areas where you're genuinely more skilled than others? Yeah. So I have 4 fingers up. I think Michelle has 3 and Chelsea has 4. Okay. It's not a great feeling to be like, wow, all of us have imposter syndrome. But at the same time, it's I feel like that acknowledgement that literally everybody here who's successful business owners, Chelsea and I have both been at it for at least 3 years. I think Michelle has been at it for longer. Christy has been freelancing on the side for 5 years. Christy has been freelancing for over 10. Like, this is like totally normal to experience. And it really like plays into the cycle of, like, first of all, you don't feel like you're good enough or like you're deserving of that success that you have. And that leads to you undermining your success. So instead of saying like, I deserve this, or I know that I got here because of the skills that I have, you're saying things like, oh, this was luck. It's not my skills or my accomplishments or my personality that got here. And then that leads back to not feeling good enough. And then the cycle continues. And I talked about this in a Mindset Monday, where it's like this fear of success. And that literally comes back to it, because when you're afraid, success is like so weird. It's like you're afraid of achieving, right? Basically, you're afraid of like good things happening to you. And in my opinion, that happens for a lot of reasons, and we'll get into the causes of that. But the biggest thing to know is that imposter syndrome is not just like a business thing. It affects your relationships, like how you show up in the way that you interact with your clients. It affects your pricing. It affects the services you offer. It affects your self-confidence, and it affects your success. So the causes of imposter syndrome, because I think this is like really helpful to think about in terms of, rather than just like, okay, everyone has it and being like, that's fine, I'll always kind of have it. It's important to think about why you have it, because it's totally normal. And the first thing is that our brain is trying to protect us. So if you're not used to accomplishing things or good things happening to you, and you're kind of used to like chaos and disappointment, the new reality of like things working out and you being good at what you do, it's unfamiliar and scary. And our brain doesn't like unfamiliar and scary. So it's kind of like, it's almost like your brain is like, okay, well, like, you didn't actually do this, it's like, let's just go back to unfamiliar territory. Let's go back to like easy territory. And the other thing about this is that it's like scientifically proven that people that are super driven and success oriented actually become like frightened when they accomplish what they set out to do. And again, that's just your brain trying to keep you safe. But we're not back in like I almost said the golden ages, like the old days where like the tigers were coming, and this kind of like fear and wanting things to be like normal and not chaotic back then is like totally okay, but we're like evolved now, so we don't really need this anymore. Like, the unfamiliar is scary, but it's not like life-threatening. And I think it's important to understand that your brain is just doing what it was meant to do. And something I always like to say is, if you're experiencing a lot of imposter syndrome or anxiety, I always say, like, I would have survived. Like, I would be the last person alive back in the day because my brain is doing such a good job of protecting me. And I try to use that to, like, lighten the mood a little bit. The other cause of imposter syndrome is actually childhood experiences. So if you were taught to, like, not talk about your accomplishments, or your parents basically were just like, oh, like, that was like luck that you got a really good grade on your paper, then there's going to be more likely that you're going to be experiencing a lot more imposter syndrome. The other thing is like society in general. So as we're growing up, men, boys, I guess, are taught to be more risky, and women are taught to be more risk averse. I'm not sure exactly why that is, but that's like a huge thing. You're always, if your son or whatever is like going off and he like falls and cuts his leg open, a lot of parents would be like, oh, it's okay, you got it, brush it off, go back out there, like, it's fine. Whereas for the girls, I'd be like, oh, you need a Band-Aid, let's get you taken care of, like, we don't want you to be hurt. And that, not just that instance, but like that whole mindset of like protection and not wanting them to be risky is a huge cause of imposter syndrome. The other thing about society is that, like, women just haven't been in the workforce for very long. And I think that contributes to a lot of feelings of like, I don't deserve to be here because we like physically haven't been here. We don't see a lot of people in the positions that we want to be in. The other thing is, if you were born first, if you're an only child or you were born first, you're often expected to perform or behave in a certain way. So that can contribute more to imposter syndrome as well. Being a millennial, apparently the age of technology really screwed us up. And there's this whole idea of like this helicopter parenting, which didn't exist until our generation came about. I mean, I'm sure it did, but like it was way overprotective. And so that kind of like, again, that risk aversion, like making sure that you can't make mistakes, making sure that things always go correctly. There's that feeling of like, I can't do this. And then the other thing, entering into a new role. This is like if you become a mother or you become like a big sister or you got hired at a new company or you become a new business owner. You've never done whatever the role is that you're doing before. And so there's got to be feelings of like, well, how did this happen to me? Like, I don't deserve this. Like someone's going to figure me out. I know a lot of people experience, I mean, I definitely experienced that, still experience that. There's a lot of times where, especially with like retainer clients, there are like moments where I'm like, why are they still working with me? Like, haven't they like figured out that like I'm not really good at what I'm doing, even though all I've ever done my whole entire life is right. And so I know I'm good at what I do, but it's still that like, am I? So that's really interesting. But I do have two things that have helped me a lot. So if it helps you, take it. If it doesn't, leave it. But this is actually something that my friend Jill, who I talked about on the assignment under imposter syndrome, I highly recommend you guys check her out. She, like her whole business is helping high achieving women with imposter syndrome and figuring out like why you have it, moving through it, things like that. And something that she always talks about is naming your inner imposter, which is so fun. She recommends like a really ugly name. My name, well, mine changes a lot because I can never remember what my name was. I just change it all the time. It was like Becky one time, like Fabiola another time. This time it's Doris. And it kind of, well, it works like two different ways. So if you have like a name for this imposter syndrome, you're number one, personifying it, which it kind of like takes you out of it. It's like lightens the mood a little bit, helps personify the fear, the doubt, the stress. And then what it also does is it helps detach it from you. So instead of being like, oh, like I am my imposter syndrome, these thoughts that I'm having about myself are true. You can be like, oh no, Doris over there, like the one that doesn't believe in me and thinks that I'm a horrible writer, like she can just go away. And you can kind of like talk shit about Doris instead of being like, no, like Doris is right. Like I'm horrible and I don't deserve to have these clients and stuff. And it's a really awesome way to kind of combat that. The other thing is to think about your higher self and how she would show up during the situation. And this one was a little bit harder for me to like wrap my head around because I'm very much a person that like I am who I am and I'm like okay with that. I don't often set a lot of goals because I just kind of want to live my life and like be who I am and things happen to me. So when I thought about this, I was like, I don't know, like whatever, like higher self Erin, yeah, whatever. But it gives you an opportunity to think about like how you would respond to it if you didn't have these thoughts and feelings. And it's just like a nice option, right? It's just like a nice option to be like, okay, like I'm feeling really shitty right now and I'm feeling like I don't deserve the clients that I have. But like how would higher self Erin, how would Erin that believes in herself show up in this situation? Would I let the fear cause me to do bad work, or would I sit there and remind myself that I'm totally worthy of this and like not let it affect me? So those are two ways that you can just kind of try to get through it the best you can. And then as well, just remembering that like everyone has it. So the likelihood that you can talk to anybody on your Instagram, on your Facebook, on your friends list and be like, hey, I'm feeling a little bit of imposter syndrome. Can you help me with this? Like, I guarantee you they'll be like, I totally feel you. Like, let's talk through this. So I actually kind of want to hear if anyone wants to name their inner imposter while you're here. I kind of want to hear what names you can come up with.
I want to capture these cats because I hate their fucking names.
Want to name yours Lucifer?
Lilith.
Lilith.
I feel like it would have to be something. Yeah, that's what my housemates name their cat. Michelle's like, what the fuck? Yeah, I call them Lil and Lucy. Auntie does not approve of the names. I feel like it would have to be something like either something ridiculous like Gerald, where it's just like if I was to think of like the polar opposite of me, like Gerald first of all is a guy's name, but when I think of Gerald, I think like this stuffy, boring, bald dude that like sits in an office.
Yeah.
So like I would have to pick something the polar opposite of me, or just like the most ugliest name. Which I can't think of a really hideous name right now.
I think Gerald is beautiful.
Yeah, just something that's polar opposite. So not even like an ugly name, but just like or like Alexander. I've never liked that name. There was a kid called Alexander that I went to school with, and he was just this grubby, annoying, mean kid, and it just stuck with me. Now when I literally can't meet people with the name Alexander. I'm just like, oi, I get flashbacks.
That's hilarious.
So I'd have to name it something like that.
Alexander. Basically anything that you can just kind of be like, that person. Like, oh my God, Doris. Oh my God, Gerald. Oh my God, Alexander. Whatever. That's amazing.
I picked the most generic names.
Hey, that's okay. I'm trying to think of, I think Jill's is named Rhonda. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen that there's like a Snapchat filter of like, it almost looks like that girl from Finding Nemo. I don't even remember what her name is. The girl with like the teeth and the braces and stuff.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Yeah.
Anyway, that little like weird looking girl. That's like what she'll like put the Snapchat filter on and kind of like talk as if she's that person, and it's just really funny and it's like a nice way again to like personify things. But Rhonda. Okay. Lottie, Willow. So let's move on to the second section, which was that list of things that fill you up creatively or leave you feeling refreshed. So the way that I like to think about this is if you want to kind of overcome your mental blocks, attract wealth, build your self-belief, it's really important to get curious and discover things that fill you up and then be intentional about doing those things. And I purposely put like 20 of bullets. So like if you only filled out like 5, that's totally fine. It changes for me all the time. Like different seasons of my life, I'll need different things to fill me up. Like it used to be, I used to pull like a daily tarot card, or I do like a daily tarot spread, and I would do journaling. But now it's a lot more like movement, yoga, meditation, walking. And really it's just like the things that you are doing for fun that don't make you money. And the main reason that I wanted you guys to fill that out is because there's a lot of times that we'll like stress about things and we'll give up our sleep and our food, and we stop taking care of our mental health, and we stop doing our hobbies. And what we do is we equate like all of this stress and all of this like doing as the reason for our success, right? So we're like, okay, because I didn't sleep or eat for like 4 days, that's why this happened. And I think the reason that we believe that is because for so much of our life, especially if you were raised in an environment where you were kind of like work hard, your parents were very like, you should work hard for your success, you got to make sure that you put in the time. it can be really hard to like shift that pattern, because all your brain can see is that, okay, well, when I like stress myself out and burn myself out, that's when I succeed. But there's a different way. And I've only discovered this like in the past year. If you would have talked to me a year ago, a little bit more than a year ago, I would have told you that the only way to like be successful is to work really hard and go after what you want and work 12 hours a day and whatever. But that was because I hadn't tried the other way, which was not stressing out and not doing all of this stuff. And I feel like I've been talking about it to you guys, but like even just the past 4 months, like I just like made a decision and I was like, I'm like barely going to work. I'm not going to put in effort to do a lot of marketing. I'm not going to do a whole lot of content creation. I'm going to focus on my relationships and my mental health and my hobbies. And I have the most steady clients I have the best paying clients. I didn't have to work for any of my clients. They all came to me. And I equate that success to the fact that I prioritize joy. And if you can like infuse more of that into your life, and the more that you live according to like what you actually want. So again, going back to like the reason that I was working hard wasn't because I wanted to work hard. It was literally because my parents told me in order to make money and be successful in life, you have to work hard. But that wasn't my goal. That wasn't my dream. I wanted to literally like live in the middle of the woods and write for a living, which I'm technically doing now. And I really find that if you actually start doing those things that you want to do and start living more according to your goals, that's when you're going to find real success, again, like success, the success that is successful to you. And the more that you attract what you want. So the other thing to note with this is that your activities, your dreams, your goals, your version of success is going to look different than everyone else around you. And so in order to feel your best and like really build up that belief in yourself, you have to do the things that light you up. So it's going to be completely different than me. I mean, it could be the same. It could be yoga and meditation and walking, or it could be something completely different. It could be sleeping in and barely working and going skiing, or like taking off at 5 p.m. and hanging out with your dog midday. So definitely don't skip over that part if you haven't done the assignment yet. I definitely recommend that you do that and really try to infuse some of that in your life, because like I said, I didn't realize that it was possible to do things that you liked and be successful until I tried it. And I am living proof that it can happen. So I just want to remind you guys to not equate working super, super hard and not taking care of yourself to being successful and making money and all of that kind of stuff. Wow, okay. The next thing I want to talk about is mantras. We can talk about mantras for wealth first. So, okay, for a healthy wealth mindset, I think mantras are really interesting because Amanda, she came on maybe like I think it was a month ago, Amanda Autry, to do a training, and she basically taught me that like a lot of people think of mantras as like a very spiritual thing. It's like a ritual, but mantras are just like a phrase or thoughts, and it helps me a lot to think about it like that, because your brain actually, well, your brain produces thoughts automatically, right? You don't like wake up and are like, I'm going to choose to think that I'm, whatever today. Your brain just thinks thoughts. And mantras are just a fun way, I guess, if you like mantras, to like infuse more intentional thoughts into like the abyss that is your mind. Because it can go to some really scary places, like I was saying before, even though I literally have a master's degree in how to write strategically. Yet there are still days where I'm like, do I know how to do this? And it's like, no, I know how to do this. I am capable. And mantras are just a really nice way to kind of like get your brain there. And let's see. Okay. There's so kind of bringing it back to this wealth aspect, right? There's also this idea that money is energy, and the energy of money ebbs and flows. And this whole like concept, I guess you could say, it really changed my life because there's a lot of times where you, well, I'll use myself as an example rather than generally saying. So if you hoard all your money, right? If you're like freaking out that you're like, okay, I don't know where my next like piece of income is going to come in. You're like freaking out about whatever, paying for things that you need to pay for. If you are hoarding all of your money, energetically, what that's saying is you are not open to more money coming in because you're not allowing money to flow out. So if you're thinking of money as kind of like an energetic exchange, as like a cyclical thing, it's important to spend money. Understanding that it's, I'm not saying like go and drop like $500 on clothes or whatever, but if you're feeling like really restricted, a lot of times it's like your brain feeling the need to control. And again, it's like all an energy thing. Like it's like it's contracting. You're not feeling empowered. You're not being like, okay, like I am not going to spend money because I don't need that item. You're not spending money because fear of not the money not coming back to you. So the way that I like to kind of like trick the universe into, well, the way I like to trick the universe is I will either buy something small, like a coffee or whatever, to just like kind of boost my mood a little bit, or I'll buy something that I know I need, but I've been putting off for a while. Something simple like I don't have any nail polish. And I was like, I just like need nail polish. I don't know. And there was one day where I was just feeling like, okay, we're never going to have enough money for this RV. Like I have this expense coming up. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go out. I'm going to spend some money on this. I know I need this. It's going to be fine. And what that does is, first of all, it like the control that I felt like I had, I released that. So I was like, okay, the money is going, it's leaving me. This $5 is going elsewhere. And automatically that just like improves my mood because I just bought something that I wanted and I liked. And then I was happy because I was like, okay, now I have like this thing that I needed. And remember when I don't think I said this, but joy attracts wealth and joy attracts success. So again, it's like infusing this, it's just infusing energy into the world. I hope I'm making sense because this is kind of like a crazy topic. Okay, it's kind of like a weird topic and it's something that I'm still learning about. So, but it's very like sciencey because it's like you gotta think about the energy and you gotta think about this. And I do obviously want to say that I don't recommend, if you're like tight on money and you need to pay bills, like I don't recommend you like going out and being like, it's fine, I can just spend $400 on this thing. Like be responsible with your money, but understand that if you're holding on to like $5, like that's an energetic thing. That's like you need to release that and move past that and just like trust and know that money is going to come to you. And I think I actually talked to this about Christy. This is kind of like shifting over to the mantras again. And it's this concept of bridge thought. So if you ever tried saying things or like a mantra like, I am beautiful, I am capable, I am the most powerful version of myself, and it just like did not feel right, you were like, this is a joke, like I don't believe this. It's literally because you didn't believe it. And belief is, in my opinion, everything. It's the reason I'm standing here today. It's the reason you're still here. And it's just important, especially when you're speaking to yourself. So when I say like a bridge thought, the bridge thoughts help your brain like connect to the phrase more. So if you like truly don't believe that you're beautiful, if you truly don't believe that you're capable, you can use a bridge thought to make yourself believe it without actually just like continuing to repeat it. So so we'll use the like, I'm capable, right? If you don't believe that you're capable, you could say something like, I am capable of doing hard things when I ask for help. So and if that's not true, you can use something else. But it's almost like just adding like a little thing at the end. So you're like, okay, I don't believe that I'm capable, but when do I believe I'm capable? I believe I'm capable when, you know, other people help me. Like, I believe that I can do that when I have assistance. And soon enough, you'll be able to actually shorten the sentence to I am capable after that bridge thought has kind of like served its purpose. And I'm trying to remember, there was like one specific bridge thought that I had for a really long time, like when I was working with Amanda as my life coach, there was something. I think it was the money comes to me easily. I think we were working through my wealth because I was still like holding really tightly to money and being very scared. And so I kind of adapted this mantra of like money comes to me easily because I wanted to believe it so bad, to money comes to me easily from places known and unknown. And that opened up a lot because it's like, yeah, like money comes to me easily. Don't really believe that, but it does come to me easily from places that I know it comes from, my clients, and unknown. So other places like other people referring clients to me, things like that. So it's just a really powerful, it's a really powerful thing. And if you have tried mantras before and it hasn't worked, that's likely a big reason why, because you just like literally didn't believe it. And that's nothing that's wrong with you. It's literally just your brain's like, no, I don't think that's true. And it's hard to believe it, but I believe in you. So that's how you can kind of trick your brain a little bit. And the other thing is, I know like mantra is not for everybody because it's totally fine. So I also recommended a few books for wealth and self-belief. And I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about them. So I personally have not read the Jen Sincero book, the You're a Badass at Making Money. Yeah, I know Michelle has. I know, I even think Christy might have. I know Chelsea, I don't know why I forgot her name for a second. Chelsea has, and a couple of my other business friends, but like literally every single business owner I know recommends that book. Also Jess Langley, who came in and talked to us about pricing last year, she highly recommends it too, just because it's like it's just an interesting way to like shift your perspective on money and improve your financial literacy. So the other book I recommended was called Type R. I'm going to actually get that for you because I have the book. Hold on. Okay, this is what it looks like. Got a little lemon, pear. I don't know, what is that? Lemon, I guess. So yeah, it's a lemon. So it's called Type R, Transformative Resilience for a Turbulent World. And the really cool thing about this book is it's a mix of like science and storytelling. So it's nice because they don't overwhelm you with like scientific concepts, but they do it in a way that is really woven into the story, so you can kind of like get what's going on. But basically it talks about like a new way to deal with uncertainty and think about being resilient. So instead of thinking of resilience as like never coming up against obstacles, it's kind of like thinking about resilience as like how strong do you have to be to get through situations. And the really interesting thing actually is that this book is from Novant Health. So my mom works at that hospital, and she gave it to me when my dad was diagnosed with cancer in December. And it's just really cool to like know that like hospitals are like reading books like this and taking this into account, because it's just really awesome to think about the brain in like a different way and how to like handle uncertainty. It makes like this all this sciencey and like energy stuff like a little less woo woo, because it's like, no, like this was at the hospital, like it's science. The other thing is I got this book. Oh man, I got this book in 2019 and I read like the first couple pages and haven't picked it up since, but people tell me that this is like the most transformative like self-discovery book And I'm thinking that based on what other people have told me about this book, if you struggle with that like list of creative things that fill you up because you don't know what fills you up, this is going to be the book for you. It really helps you like build, or it helps like, it gives you like the tools to transform your life if that's something that you're interested in. The other book is The Four Agreements, and I actually don't have this book because I loved it so much that I literally had to share it with other people. So I posted about it on my stories and then was like, I'm sending this to someone. The first person that sends me a message is getting this book. And if you haven't heard of The Four Agreements, it's by Don Miguel, I think. Yeah, and it's about, okay, Four Agreements is about the source of self-limiting beliefs that rob us of joy and create needless suffering. So it offers a powerful code of conduct that can change your life into a new experience of freedom, true happiness, and love. So again, going back to joy, and yeah, the Four Agreements: be impeccable with your word, don't take anything personally, don't make assumptions, and always do your best. I think that be impeccable with your word part is super, super important. It's actually I think it's the one, I don't know if he actually says like there's one that's most important, but if there was, I'm sure it would be that one. I think I actually just recently did a Mindset Monday on keeping promises to yourself. And this is what I mean by that. Like, if you say you're going to do something, the more you say you're going to do it and then you do it, that self-belief is going, and your self-confidence and your self-worth is going to increase because you're keeping promises to yourself. So it goes beyond just like, telling a friend you're going to be over there at 7 and like never showing up. It's literally like, if you say you're going to do something and you don't, like that is tarnishing your own belief. So yeah, really the last thing I want to cover here then is the resources that I want to recommend to you guys. I listed a bunch and gave you links on the assignment, and I just want to go over a little bit of that. So you guys have heard me talk about this a million times. I will not shut up about Amanda. It's literally because she has changed my life so much just with the things that she's taught me, and especially meditation. So that is the first thing on there. She does like live weekly meditations. It's a membership model. I think it's like $40 a month. She does 2 live classes a week. But you don't have to do her meditation class. That's just what I personally recommend because she personally, I think, explains meditation in a very like human way. I think a lot of people approach meditation in a very like, you have to like sit and you have to be perfect and it has to look a certain way. But she's very much like, show up as you are, and acknowledging that like sitting with yourself is not easy, and it's necessary because it helps you like know who you are. It helps you learn your triggers. It helps you see where your mind goes when nothing is happening. And going back to mantras, it helps you basically see the thoughts that are running through your brain. And then ideally, with the mantras that you have, you can then transform those thoughts into something a little bit nicer, ideally. The other thing is yoga. And yoga is really interesting because I think I was taking a class with, it was a free class, Yoga with Adrian. It's literally on YouTube. And she was basically like talking about how yoga is just a way to connect with your breath, and the poses are just a way to like facilitate that the poses are really like irrelevant. It's basically the fact that you're connecting your body to your breath. And I think the really interesting thing about yoga specifically, potentially with other things, but I just personally haven't dabbled in it, is that when you're doing an activity where you're just using your body weight, and you're doing things and you're supporting it like physically, it makes you feel really strong and capable, and like you can support yourself, which like you physically can if you're like doing the motions. But I think that is something where it's like physically you're supporting yourself while also like believing in yourself more. The other thing is Jess, well, there's a common theme here. I keep talking about Amanda and Jess. So Jess, who again, she did a training in here, and she was also in the SSI. She has a Facebook group called the Holy Fuck Pricing Facebook group, and it's super nice for. I think it's like ideally for designers, but all creatives can really like benefit from it. But her whole idea is like raising the industry standards. So for a lot of designers, writers, like creatives in general, like people just don't value their work. And so what happens is like there's a bunch of people that will do like whatever logos for $50 and 500 word articles for $25, and it's lowering the standards because then those clients go to other people and are like, well, I got a logo for $50, so why can't you do it for $50? So she really is just trying to create a community and a group of people that understands that you're worth what your price is, and then to like just help you feel confident in charging the rates that you deserve. So if you ever have like specific pricing questions, I highly suggest you join that group. It's pretty good. And Jess is just like amazing. The other thing is binaural beats. I love binaural beats. Although I just figured out recently that I haven't been listening to them right because I do it like out loud, and I heard that for binaural birds, yeah, they have to be in your headphones because it's like a certain, because they work with frequencies, like talking about the energy that we talked about earlier. So specific beats or like whatever hertz it's at will elicit physical responses or internal responses. So like eases anxiety, increases focus, things like that. The specific one that I suggested to you guys is an abundance binaural beats, and it's one that I listen to a lot when I'm feeling restrictive. Again, that feeling of like, where's my money coming from? It really just helps me. That and this like money comes to me easily from places known and unknown. Those are the two things that I really do to try to release that control and just like let things happen. The other thing, I have two more things I want to talk about. One of the other ones is the healing membership, which is run by my friend Emma. Basically, it's just like, she is a trauma-informed coach. So if you're dealing with like, if you're on like a healing journey and you have like trauma from, whether that's like physical trauma, childhood trauma, trauma from past relationships, things like that, she uses tools, magical tools like Reiki, tarot, astrology to kind of like help you navigate. And it's really interesting because I personally don't know of a place that you can get all of that in one spot. I know a lot of people, you can like hire a tarot coach or hire someone to read your astrological chart, but in terms of like actually helping you heal like on a month-to-month basis, because we know that healing is not like, okay, I'm going to heal now and then you're done. It's like, it's a long, like a lifelong thing. So I just recommend that membership if you are kind of interested in diving into healing. And the last thing I have to recommend, I tried to include like some paid and free stuff because obviously like you don't have to pay for any of this. Like if you don't want to do any of these things, that's totally fine. There's lots of free things to do. But my whole entire wealth journey, honestly, like the reason that I'm still here as a freelancer and as a business owner, in my opinion, is because I joined the Wealthy Fempreneur Mastermind with Alyssa. I talk about it all the time. And it's like also one of the reasons that we created this community, because I realized that community is so powerful when you own a business and when you're working on yourself. And so I recommend the course if you're interested. I'm not sure how much she charges for it anymore. I don't think she does like live, like we had like a retreat and she did like live calls. I think it might just be a course this time. But so that you know, because we are talking about wealth mindset here, it did teach me a lot about finances. So that course is the reason I do my money dates. It's the reason that I have separate accounts for my business, my taxes, things like that. It's how I know a little bit about investing. It's also how I know about mantras and money mantras and things like that. So, yeah, if you are interested in that kind of stuff, then you could totally check that out. So, I kind of just like threw a lot at you guys. And I know that a lot of this was kind of a little bit esoteric. So I think really the main thing I want you to get out of this is that imposter syndrome happens to everybody, and it's not going to go away, but there are things that you can do to build up like the muscle almost to not let the feeling like stay, right? Because you're going to feel imposter syndrome. The idea is to move out of it quickly. And I think that kind of all the things that we've discussed here, the mantras, the doing things like hobbies, doing things that light you up, reading books that help you kind of navigate situations. This is all going to help when you're running into issues in your business or in your life. So I really hope that, I'm sure there's one thing that y'all can take out of this. So yeah. Do you guys have any questions?
Whoops. Oh, now I'm sideways.
That's okay. I can still see you.
Was I sideways the whole time?
No.
I don't know why it does that. Yeah. No, I don't have any questions.
Okay. You're so funny.
This was awesome.
Hi. Oh, hi, Christy. I'm so glad you liked it. Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Michelle.
I was just going to say, I have to run because we're here at the pool to go finally shower or something. So
Well, thank you for coming. I really appreciate you. See ya.
Thank you so much. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you. That was great.
Okay. So yeah, Christy, I mean, if you don't have any questions, that was it for me. That 50 minutes.
That was great.
Good.
I loved
I'm
it.
so glad that was cool. Good. Good.
Perfect.
Well,
Thanks.
all right. I'll see you later. Thanks for coming, Christy. Bye.
Yep. Bye.